Blizzard Entertainment's WarCraft series is one of the biggest and most epic fantasy game franchises ever made. Started by its free real-time strategy games in the 90s that kept swift tacticians on their toes, and culminating unexpectedly with World of Warcraft, an incredibly influential and beloved MMORPG that enjoys massive popularity to this day.
The WarCraft series as a whole has been especially noted for its rich lore spanning a wide gamut of races inspired by a variety of pre-modern human cultures.
Among all these races, the Orcs are the most notable subject of study, because of their continued presence in the WarCraft storyline, but also because of the praiseworthy originality that's been brought to this race in comparison to Orc races presented in other media. My name is Clownboss.
And I'm the Kitsune Hawk, and today we'll be taking a look at the anthropological inspiration to one of the icons of the WarCraft series, the Orcs.
So get out your pencils, trivia enthusiasts, because this is character development.
Before we start piecing apart the anthropological backstory of the Orcs, it's important to clarify the origin of their common depiction in modern media. The WarCraft Orcs draw from two primary sources, and the first chronologically is The Lord of the Rings, a series of epic novels by J.R.R. Tolkien, where orcs are portrayed as common fodder minions of Sauron.
A secondary influence comes from the orcs from the Warhammer series of tabletop games, and these orcs are depicted as being bulky, strong, and most importantly green-skinned, but they were also a dim-witted and mindlessly aggressive race that reproduced from spores. Originally, Blizzard intended to make an RTS based on the Warhammer franchise, but such a deal never came through, so instead they kept the Warhammer design of orcs intact for their first Warcraft game.
In the first two Warcraft games, the Orcish Horde is primarily Asian in inspiration, right down to the use of the word Horde in their name. The term Horde was used by a number of Slavic cultures as a term used to refer to the Mongol Empire, especially under Genghis Khan. The Mongols, in turn, would actually adopt the name as they forged the largest nation thus far in human history, whose government operated under a meritocracy.
Before it became an empire, Mongol society was based on separate clans. Temujin himself comes from the Borjigin clan, and with the increasing pressure of the Jin dynasty of the Jurchen people coming from the east, the young Temujin needed to forge an alliance with other Mongol clans to protect their people. In turn, his new Mongolia, based on trust, honor, and religious tolerance, gained allies in every step from other parts of Asia such as China, India, and Persia. By 1206, Temujin's Mongolia became the one singular horde.
In the WarCraft franchise, this ties to Orgrim Doomhammer, who seized Warchief Blackhand of the Blackrock clan, leader of the Orcish invasion during Warcraft 1. Orgrim named himself Warchief of the Horde and called many Orcish clans and other hated races such as the Trolls, Ogres, and Goblins to join in his conquest of Azeroth, promising prosperity in the end. Orgrim's Horde was a meritocracy where commanders assumed great responsibility, loyalty was rewarded and honored, and betrayals and great failures were punished with death or exile, forged in a manner similar to the Mongol Empire.
The Orcs in various Warcraft games also have buildings comparable to yurts, circular tents which are made out of skin and felt, and the helmets of the Orc grunts have backplates similar to Chinese helms, from which the Mongols took their design from. A standard issue weapon for an Orc grunt is the axe, a major symbol of the Orcish race. Medieval Persians used tabazins, a kind of two-handed battle axe that was used to cut through medieval plate mail, against which more conventional weapons like swords would have been ineffective. Battle axes would have enough power to cut through both mail and flesh, and makes them from a reasonable weapon of choice against the human forces in Warcraft.
Alongside the axe, another symbol closely associated with the Orcish Horde is the wolf. Warcraft's orcs frequently use wolves as mounts, much like Tolkien's orcs and their wargs, creatures similar to wolves. Additionally, the Mongols saw wolves as symbols of good luck, despite being, well, more famous for their conquests on horseback.
The Mongol religion of the time, Tengrism, was passed down from the Huns, and Tengrism employs, in addition to the monotheistic belief of the god Tengri, meaning sky in Mongolian, beliefs of shamanism, animism, and ancestor worship, all of which are also important parts of Orcish society.
Animism is a category of beliefs shared by many cultures worldwide, particularly in Asia. Essentially, animism states that animals, plants, inanimate objects, and elemental forces possess a spiritual essence, and that communication is not possible without respecting the often holy presence. In traditional African religions, these spirits control the functions of nature, such as the weather and solar and lunar cycles, and keep them in rhythm. Likewise, in Shinto, the native religion of Japan, the gods, known as kami, are said to reside in formations across the natural world.
Orcs don't have a central god, but instead believe in the harmony of the natural elements and communicate with them. Orc shamans honor the great elements such as storm, earth, fire, water and air, and plead them for favors in exchange that manifest in reality, which to other races seems like a mysterious form of magic.
Orcs show reverence to ancestors much like Asian cultures do, most notably the Chinese, who host home banquets and entire ceremonies at temples to revere their ancestors. When an orc dies, his clansmen conduct group rituals that often involve storytelling, chanting, and feasting that lasts all night.
Being a race where warfare is a very prized and honored activity, the Orcish Horde also takes a lot of the cues from ancient Sparta. They have similar birthing ceremonies where they test an infant's strength to see if it will make for a strong warrior. If the child appeared to be weak, the Orcs would drown it, much as Spartans were said to discard their frail children into chasms. Orcs were trained in warfare from the age of 6, and by the age of 12 they were considered adults capable of battle. In Sparta, it was obligatory for every male child to enter an agoge at the age of 7, where they would learn about fighting techniques, military strategies and cooperation, and in the ages of 20 to 30, they'd be included in the city-state's standing army.
It's also possible that orc peons, an outcast population seen as weak and cowardly, could be equivalents of the Helots, a group of people from Laconia and Messenia who were subjugated by the Spartans and used as a workforce for menial tasks. Unlike other servant peoples, the Helots were owned by the state and not individuals.
All things considered, I think Blizzard managed to accomplish something truly unique with their vision of the Orcs, and having them to include so many believable allusions to real-life cultures, it's no wonder that WarCraft Orcs have now become a people that's so fondly remembered.
There's quite a bit more that we could talk about, and if you're still curious, we highly implore you to continue reading into the series' lore.
Hello you lovelies, this is Clownboss, the special guest artist for this episode of Character Development. I'd like to thank Kitsune Hawk so much for giving me this opportunity for his wonderful series that's the first to explore the more inspired side of game creation. You can see his previous episode regarding Tao Tao, the Dynasty Warriors in the link to the right. And if you're a person with good taste, which I know you are, you will also check out my video on the left where I perform a track-by-track album analysis of Blue Lines by the trip-hop pioneers Massive Attack. And you can also hit me on Twitter, Tumblr and DeviantArt in hopes that I can produce more artwork as I have it today, which nowadays happens once in a blue moon. Above all else, I'd like to thank you for watching and hope we'll see each other again somewhere down the road. Until then,
look tall, my warriors!